Welcome to Silicon Valley Successes. On today's show, we have Albert Qian Fengyu. He is the founder and creator of albertslist. It's a very active 37,000-person Facebook group. He is a result-driven, high-tech, demand generation marketeer, solutions innovator, entrepreneur, and public speaker. And you're going to meet him in a moment here on Silicon Valley Successes.
Welcome to Silicon Valley Successes. We interview experts and entrepreneurs to give the world access to the knowledge and experience that is here in Silicon Valley. Our mission is to create opportunities for those who seek them and help you to become the next Silicon Valley success.
Albert, welcome to Silicon Valley Successes.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today.
Now, question for you. How did you form this amazing Facebook group? What's the history of it?
Yeah, so it's really, it came out of really my struggle as being one of these Great Recession college graduates. So as you remember, in 2008, the economy completely tanked. Everyone was out of work. And by 2010, it had come back to a little bit. And finding anyone's first job out of college is always really tough.
So first off, before going into more detail, what is the focus of albertslist?
Yeah, so we're an online community on Facebook as a Facebook group looking to connect recruiters, job seekers, hiring managers, career service providers to really help people get their next job faster and also answer a lot of questions that may arise during the job search or when you're at work. So a lot of people also come and get advice.
So it's this whole community based around getting a job or the next job where you have all the parts of the ecosystem coming together. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And 37,000 people, how many years did it take to build that?
Well, it's taken about 6 years, and coincidentally, tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary of when the community first began.
That's amazing. Thank you for being on the show at this very moment.
Yeah.
So this 6 years, has this been a full-time job for you, or how did you build it?
This is something that I've done on the side as I've built up my product marketing career. It is something that I've done, mostly on my nights and weekends.
Tell us more about yourself, actually. Product marketing career, is that your background, marketing?
Yeah, so my background is in product marketing. I started actually in social media back in the day when it was, the hot thing coming up here in Silicon Valley. And so in about 2014, 2015, I transitioned to the product marketing world, and I've been working mainly on cloud software as a service solutions.
So then is albertslist, the name of this Facebook group, your full-time gig, or is it a side hustle?
It's a side hustle.
Okay, then how have you managed it alone, or is there a team helping you out?
Well, luckily I can give credit to a team. So I have a business partner whom I brought on towards the end of 2017. And we also have a lot of passionate volunteers who help us moderate the community, handle event check-in when it comes to the many multitude of events that we've done around the Bay Area, and also help approve new members and provide advice where needed.
But I mean, to get to 37,000 members, how do you monitor that many? How have you brought in volunteers to help you grow this? How do you do this?
It's just, it's really being somebody of service. So for me, doing albertslist has, for the most part, up to this point, been a lot of the labor of love. So I met my business partner. We source a lot of our volunteers from albertslist. And it really comes down to being able to evangelize something that has brought value to a lot of people. A lot of people have found jobs off albertslist at many of the Bay Area. Drop right here if we wanted to.
So can I ask, is there a revenue model for this, or is this 100% volunteer your time just to help others, or how does it work like this? Because if you have access to 37,000 people out there, that's an amazing group to be able to reach out to. Are you capitalizing on it?
We are beginning to capitalize on it. And so a lot of organizations around the Bay Area, startups, Fortune 500s, we've had the opportunity to partner with them over the past year. And so we do networking events, we've done workshops, we're aligned with like a Forbes Coaches Council career coach. We've done events with Coffee Meets Bagel, Hired.com, AdRoll, just to name a few. And so not only are we doing that, but we're also expanding into a paid social community that Facebook is starting to roll out as well.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
so we plan to offer career coaching. People in that community can access our paid events for free, and so much more.
Okay, so the side hustle might become a very profitable company very shortly.
Most definitely, yeah. We're all doing this online, and we don't have any physical offices like most online companies these days. And funnily enough, we do a lot of chat over a lot of our business over Slack and Facebook Messenger.
How would you recommend a young startup company going about getting their social media presence or building their tribe online? What advice can you give?
I would say it's all about finding your most passionate and ardent, or your most passionate followers. So for me, I think growing in the early years, it was a lot of friends who initially joined, and then their friends of friends, and then their friends of friends of friends. And so aligned with being able to find people who are really into what it is that you do, you also deliver the value that they're looking for. So maybe somebody finds their first job off of Albert's List, then they share it with 5 people who share it with 5 people. And so it's this very pay it forward, very like scalable concept of just, because when it comes to your company and when it comes to the product you're creating, it comes back to people. And so
Okay.
if you can make people realize what it is that you're giving them instead of, always peddling the product first, that I think is very transformative.
So talk about a little bit about the skills out there that maybe corporations are looking for that they're not finding job candidates. Is there anything out there right now that there's a huge lack of that might be a good area to go into in the future?
So I think that there's an interesting caveat in this sort of topic, because the conversation about skills is something that I think keeps coming up over and over again, both in our group and in the greater public sphere. I think that obviously, right, STEM careers are hot, so science, technology, engineering, and math.
But isn't it true? I heard that there's a job fair not too long ago where maybe a quarter of the people had a software engineer background, but they were looking for work. I mean, if there's such high demand, why is there so many people, especially in the Valley, looking for that career change or that first opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of organizations and startups to corporations are looking for people who have experience, despite the fact that many of these folks don't have any in the first place.
Well, how could they get that experience?
Right, and it's a tough go of it, right? It's like, how do you get experience when you have no experience? And I think a lot of entry-level employees fall into this. And for me, the way that I've always understand, especially in Silicon Valley, how you get through this is you start your own thing. You
really?
freelance, you build your own app, say if you're a software developer. If you're a marketer, you build your own website. Maybe do your own personally branded website and you drive traffic. And you go out and you pound the pavement and you hustle harder than the next candidate to you. So that when you do walk into that interview room, you can show on your resume that, yes, you've been job hunting, but you've also been innovative, ingenious enough, entrepreneurial, to go above and beyond and do more than what's been expected of the traditional candidate.
So you're saying if someone's between jobs or looking for that first job,
Yeah.
use some of their time sending out resumes, but they should also use a big chunk of their time implementing their skills, honing their skills out there in however way they can to build that resume simultaneously as they're looking for work.
Absolutely, they should.
Now, are there tips and tricks for reaching out to maybe potential companies to try these skills at? For example, would you recommend them reaching out to startups in incubators or incubators themselves going, listen, I just graduated in marketing or I want to get into sales. I will intern unpaid or I will help out a company. Please connect me with someone. I'm really looking for the next 4 to 6 months to build my resume because I want that. This is my end goal. What are your thoughts on that? And do you have any suggestions?
Well, I definitely recommend going to a startup incubator, whether it's Plug and Play Tech Center down the road or Tech Code out in Mountain View.
I've heard of that. They're a pretty good group, aren't they?
They're pretty good. They're
Yeah.
pretty good. And, reaching out to some of the startups there and reaching out maybe to the folks who lead those incubators and asking, hey, do any startups need help? However, I do caution against saying that you'll offer yourself for free. Because, if you're an employer and you're getting something for free, well, you get what you pay for, right? And so it's important to not sacrifice your value so early in the game when it comes to that. Because every person, whether you're working for 5 hours or 1 hour, deserves to be compensated for their time and their expertise.
What recommendations would you have for someone for their compensation? Would you say, listen, I will volunteer for your company, but in return I expect a reference letter, I expect to be given a title on your website, I expect some introductions to potential people. What type of compensation would you recommend someone to go for if the company doesn't have money?
Well, I think that there's so many startups out there in the world, and you can go to any networking event tonight in Silicon Valley, and somebody's got the next big Uber for X or the next big Facebook that will do something special.
Yeah.
But how many of those really turn into anything? And so, in my opinion, and this is what I experienced starting Albert's List early on too, is that if you don't put any skin in the game, you may not feel as powerful about something as you really should. And so, when you finally hire that web developer and you pay money for that web developer or you pay money for that mobile app, then you feel like you're connected to the end result. And so, yeah, getting the reference letter, the title on the website, those are great things, but ultimately those don't pay the rent and they don't pay your utilities.
Luckily for us, no one here at Silicon Valley Success has actually watched this episode, and people will continue helping out. So Albert, back to you.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the skills gaps or that you're seeing here in the Valley.
Yeah, so I like to think about it in two different ways. So one of them is a skills gap that's technical in the STEM fields, right? So we're talking about knowledge of blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning.
Okay.
All of those things that seem to be always in high demand, and the companies, they interview a lot of candidates. In fact, the next artificial intelligence wizard just walked off the airplane at SFO. That's what I tell every new person who wants to get into programming here, because it's like, that's who you're competing against, the PhD from Eastern Europe who wants a better life for his family, who just decided to take the risk and come here, and he's more qualified than the person that just walked out of class at any local university, and that's the unfortunate truth. But I think it's being able to find people who not only understand those topics, but also are able to competently create a business result from those topics as well.
I think that's an interesting point that you just brought up. And I had a conversation earlier with someone about this in UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
And she was upset because her daughter with her 3.8 GPA wasn't going to get into Berkeley, even though they lived in the area. And my comment to her was, well, Berkeley is one of the greatest schools in the world. So if you want it in the world, you have to compete against the world. If you want it local, like the high school your daughter went at, well, then it's not going to be Berkeley. It's going to be this little local, not even state school that you're competing with. So you really have to judge who you're competing with for that prestige, that ranking. And to be an engineer in Silicon Valley, you really are competing on a world platform, not just what's coming out of that neighboring university or that neighboring school. You're competing against the best of the best.
And you segue into actually the second part of the skills that are really needed, which are more of the social and, I would say, soft skills that are also lacking in a lot of new graduates and job hunters today. The ability to be resilient, the ability to be able to take feedback.
We had last week's episode with Keith Koo. We talked about adaptability and the importance of it. So people at home might want to check out that episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, soft skills, adaptability, that's really going to affect people in the future, well, currently and in the future especially.
And I'd like to say and make the argument that those skills are more important than any of the coding skills that you can learn.
Why do you think that?
Because I think ultimately technologies and industries change, right? So back in the early 1980s, we had a lot of computer hardware engineering people here. hardware engineers are still needed, but we've largely moved into a software world. And so if you were able to transition your skills, if you're able to be resilient, if you're able to have that good attitude, be somebody who's curious, you're still working. But if you're somebody who believed that you're in that area forever, then you're going to stay there forever, and then the jobs will decline, and you'll be in more competition, and it'll be harder to put food on the table.
And a story that highlights that example, or an example that highlights that story. There's a company in our incubator, their lead app developer for their iPhone app, their iOS app, he was a firmware developer for a number of years. And then he saw the iOS store take off. This was 5-6 years ago, and he decided to quit his job and spend 6 months just learning how to develop apps. All his coworkers thought he was an idiot. His coworkers 2 years later were out of work, where he said the longest he's gone without a job is 24 hours.
24 hours.
That's the longest he's gone in the last 6 years, because he saw the future. He was able to take that step to adapt, change, study on his own, took the initiative, and was okay with taking 6 months off to redo his skills.
And a more recent example are social media jobs.
Oh God.
Social media jobs were hot at the early part of this decade, but I speak to people all the time who are like, yeah, I don't see as many social media jobs anymore. They've all funneled into general marketing jobs, product marketing jobs, digital marketing jobs. And so if in 2019 all you know how to do is still like write cute Facebook and Twitter posts, you're going to be out of a job, because maybe you don't know how to run a Facebook ad, or you don't know how to run a display campaign or a retargeting campaign. And that's the ability to adapt and be dynamic. That I think is way more important than your capability of understanding Facebook's insights tools on their page, that kind of thing.
So let's pause there just for a moment, and to tell all the viewers at home, if you want to find out more information on Silicon Valley Successes and the resources that we have here, please visit us at siliconvalleysuccesses.com, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn, or watch us on YouTube, or one of the many stations that we are played on throughout the U.S. Now, let's get back to Keith. Albert, thinking of last week's guest.
Definitely.
Albert, tell me more about these soft skills and what you see at job fairs, because I know there's a job fair coming up that Albert's List is hosting.
Yeah, so on March 18th, we're going to have a career fair, our diversity and inclusion career fair at TechCode in Mountain View. And we have a lot of good employers coming, including Under Armour, Amazon, Franklin Templeton, some household names. And we have over 600 RSVPs right now, and over a quarter of those are actually software engineers.
That's amazing, because in my mind, every engineer in Silicon Valley has a job, which clearly is not the case.
No. And so I think it's a combination of the competency level, the years of experience, and ultimately your ability to communicate and position your experience as why you're better than the hundreds and hundreds of other software engineers that are out here.
Now, do you think there's more challenge for maybe an engineer from overseas, maybe China, Korea, or India coming here to the Valley versus maybe someone from another city coming to Silicon Valley?
I think that when it comes to hiring in the Bay Area, the companies will aim for the best of the best. They will pay for the best because they know what they're up against around here. There's enough, I think, stories of failure of both startups and large companies and companies that have been acquired while they're failing to say that if you don't have the best talent on your team, you're not setting yourself up for the future.
One thing that's very interesting is just acqui-hire, buying this company not for the product but for the engineering team, which is quite common. There's been several companies that I've known through our incubator that literally said, hey, we were only hired because we demonstrated we could build a product, even though that product was never used. In fact, it was trashed the day that they signed the 2-year vested contract that say they'll stay on board at least for their product. But the person that acquired them, the company that acquired them, just wanted their skills that they demonstrated. Something very interesting. Their product was their resume.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Silicon Valley looks very highly on people who can demonstrate that kind of proof too. So if you're that new graduate or you're fresh out of graduate school, if you can leverage your school project or a new project that you build into something that's very business applicable, it can help you a lot. So when I first started Albert's List, the notion of it being this job site where everybody can come for job postings and advice didn't really dawn on me until maybe we hit like 6, 7, 8,000 people.
Wow.
For a time, it was let me find job postings that get sent to me and just throw them into the Facebook community, and just, if something happens, great. If nothing happens, I didn't waste much time on it.
Let's go back to that Facebook group, because really I don't think people at home understand the power of being able to send one message to that big of a tribe that will listen. How did you grow up from 8,000 to 15,000 to 20,000? And right now, I'm guessing that growth is just accelerating.
It is, and a lot of it has been organic. So in an age where we have a lot of like advertising dollars that drive growth, ours has been mostly organic, with a lot of friends adding their friends. Or really, in terms of what's not so organic, is that we do go to other networking events around the Bay Area, and our name gets spread around. A lot of our new members tend to come from job search organizations like Nova, or there's one out in the East Bay where they talk about us prominently, and then their members just kind of migrate over here, and it's pretty cool. And it's pretty honoring to be considered like a destination group for these offline programs that think that we can provide at least some of the answers to somebody's employment challenges.
So if I'm a overseas engineer and I want to come to Silicon Valley, a way to look for a job, go through albertslist.
You could, definitely, as long as the employer is offering the sponsorship that will help somebody get hired.
Now, are you seeing that issue come up a lot in Silicon Valley, the visa sponsorship?
I'm seeing it a lot less since President Trump got elected.
Really? I would have think it'd be the opposite.
Early on with this community, when it was being built in the first 2-3 years, I used to see a lot of H-1Bs, a lot of OPT visa individuals trying to look for work. I feel like in the more recent years, that has declined considerably. And, even when you go out and you interview these days, that question of whether you're a U.S. citizen almost gets asked first now, because they don't want to spend too much time thinking about, oh, do we need to invest the money to make sure that this person can actually work for us?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So far, we've talked about quite a few things. We've talked about H-1B visas. We've talked about vetting the applicant for jobs. We've talked about skill sets, whether it's coding or soft skills, and how being adaptable is so important. We've talked about growing a Facebook group, from the need of being a graduate looking for that job, and then how it changes from 7,000, 8,000, and kind of the resources that it takes as it changes. We've talked about people, while they're looking for a job, shouldn't only be sending out resumes. They should also be doing projects to build that resume, reaching out to incubators as well to possibly find startups that might be in need of entrepreneur to join their team to work on some aspect, hone their skills, build. We also talked about how that startup should contribute to that person's time, have some skin in the game.
For sure.
What information have we not talked about today, whether it's the Facebook group or what corporations are looking for, or job companies are looking for, that you think is valuable information that needs to get out there?
I think one aspect of job hunting and job searching, and maybe particularly in Silicon Valley, is the relationship building aspect.
Tell me about that.
So, being able to become a good networker, someone who adds value to others, and to be able to really build those relationships and not just be known for your resume, but known for your face, right? I'm in here today because you and I have met before.
Many times, actually.
Yeah. I've added value to your organization at TechCode by hosting career fairs that nearly jam out the place with way too many people.
Oh, God, we have to, poke them with a stick to get out the door.
Exactly.
It's like a Tokyo subway.
It's like a Tokyo subway. And so a lot of people detest networking because it feels slimy. It feels like you're selling your soul to the devil. But done correctly, it feels like you're building a genuine relationship off of this interest that's mutual between people. And so, Albert's List, our Facebook group today, we've got over 1,000 recruiters on there. We've got people who have connections to companies, and if I can drop their names, like, Google, LinkedIn, Cisco, Salesforce, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Lyft.
So you can actually use this group to reach out to any of those companies yourself, can't you?
Absolutely. I mean, because we have people who work at those companies, and, data shows that referrals are by far a much more significantly successful way to get into a job, as opposed to just sending your resume into the dark depths of the internet.
Oh God, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I remember when I was looking for a job years back, every email submission I didn't hear anything back. Every time someone that I knew at the company submitted for me, I got a call.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And so that's also a skill that a lot of job hunters need to learn, is that, yeah, you can sit at home all day submitting resumes to people you don't know, who don't care about you and may never know you, or you can hop on a community like mine or go to a networking event that's relevant to your career, meet new people, be that friendly face with a smile, with gratitude, and demonstrate that you're willing to go that extra mile to find that next job. And people recognize effort. They recognize that.
Yeah.
And if you're just sitting online submitting resumes, nobody can see that effort, so nobody's going to reward you.
Yeah.
And so it's important to build those relationships and get to know people around you, so that, you know, when it comes time for you to step up and find that next opportunity, they're willing to help you as well. And so it's a community that just gives back to one another.
And plus, the beauty of that networking is you're going to hear about a lot of jobs that aren't in the public yet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you just see it on a job board, you're competing against everyone.
Yeah.
Versus that one where you're at that networking event and you hear someone, yeah, our company, we're doing good. We're going to start expanding. We're going to look for these hires over the next few months. Really? Can you submit my resume for me? Yeah, not a problem, not a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, those jobs are the ones that you can get fast. But Albert, with the remaining couple of minutes, please tell the audience at home what you're working on and how they can reach you.
Yeah, so you can reach me personally at LinkedIn. So if you just type my name into your LinkedIn search bar.
Qianfang Yu, Rain in Money.
Oh, not raining money particularly. On LinkedIn, I'm my name, Albert, A-L-B-E-R-T, last name Q-I-A-N. And if you place it in your introduction that you saw this video off of Silicon Valley Successes, I'll be happy to accept you immediately, and I'm always open to conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what are you working on over the next few months? What's the next 6 months look like for Albert's List?
Yeah, so, you know, we're looking to expand out our premium community. We're always looking for sponsors who would like to do events with us together that bring value to job seekers. And we may also be building some technology out, not only in the form of websites, but perhaps applications that can help with the job hunt process. And so those are all sort of in the works right now.
And are you expanding your team to work on this?
Yeah, we are. We're always looking for technologists who, you know, want to take a leadership role in defining what the product looks like. We're looking for volunteers to help check in at events. We're looking for people to moderate our community and share their passions of what career they're in. And we're always looking for more career coaches. And we're also looking for people who like helping other people, because, you know, those are the real heroes of our world.
So it sounds like if you were to go to Albert's List right now on Facebook, there's a ton of opportunities for you, whether it's looking for a job or whether you're a coach or mentor that you can help out others. So please visit Albert's List on Facebook. Also, if you have time, actually not if you have time, you must, go to SiliconValleySuccesses.com, where we provide you more information than you see just at the show here. Also visit our Facebook, our LinkedIn page, and look forward to seeing you in our next episode, where we have an amazing guest who's going to give you valuable information to help you access your dream.
Thank you from all of us at Silicon Valley Successes. We hope you found the information presented today useful in your path to success. For further information on accessing the resources in Silicon Valley, you may visit us on the web at SiliconValleySuccesses.com, on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. And remember, we want to help you in your journey to become the next success.